Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter. And here I am making this video. And I have this issue have been coming up for me. And I have to admit, I don't even understand quite why. But it's given, I need to do this. So right now, Ascendant is with Rahu in Aries, ruled by a Mars that is conjoined by the Moon. Mars in 6 degrees Gemini, and the Moon is in between this Mars and Jupiter. And so, Mars in the third house, midheaven ruled by Saturn in Capricorn, 6 degrees. And that's, of course, given a Ketu descendant ruled by Venus. So it is Sol hour in Saturn night. And the topic of discussion actually has to do with Uranus. And this is a topic of Uranus in relationships, with particular emphasis on Uranus and divorce. I don't know how this topic is currently related to me, but I have been receiving that a lot, so maybe it's relevant for my viewers. And I'm going to try to bring what wants to come to the surface right now. So Uranus with algol, and Uranus is the planet of divorce, is giving us something we can magically apply to or petition to for a type of divorce that is successful when it comes to wealth sharing, sustain in spirit and in matter. And this is something, okay, now I understand that. Many times the role of economy in marriage is such that spikes divorce. Uranu algol can be a potent, not when algol on minima, can be potent time to petition, set intention to resolve for this economic situation. So if divorce comes, if it needs to come, so that for people can sustain, would not cause suicide, or God forbid murder, it's time of financial crisis. I think we see it already. And for us to resolve for the 22, Venus on the 22 degree Leo, for where many times divorce comes because of financial crisis as well, affecting people, whether it's their housing, the situations of the bank accounts, debts, such crises, and people want to divorce. But to divorce well, you need that equity, you need in spirit and in matter for people to have the resources to divorce. Uranu algol, for to petition it and set intention, can give us, and also to call on Andromeda for reconciliation, can give us, and Procyon can give us the sweetening of such process of a divorce. If this is, and again, I don't know to whom of my viewers that applies, or why am I called to talk about this. It's not something, I'm a single person, I'm not dating anyone, so I don't know why was I asked to talk about this, but this is something, when my solar return chart for this birthday, I had Uranus on the 22nd degree in the 7th house. And I'm like, that is very interesting, because it's giving divorce that could end up lethal. But I'm not married. Okay. So I did water expands upon cooling for to remedy the 22nd degree. It was just on my lot of spirit. And I guess I'm just called to make a vlog around this topic that is connected to my life indirectly. And I already understand one connection. You know, for their this is also the time where there are world wars, right? Over economic stuff. That I said expendable children predicted that the most when such crisis comes out. In Netherlands, what I know, and I see it now that I read deeper into several cases, all had the name Robobank on it, which is a bank. It's not the only bank, very likely not the only place. It's just that that was in 2-3 separate places came out to the world and is banking. Okay. And I said what I said about the 8th house, which is the house you enter after marriage. And this is a financial house, a lineage house, debt house, but also interest house, life insurance house. This is the house where your accountant and your banking, joint or separated, are coming to play, and shared energies come into play. There's nothing that should be problematic about this, unless our economy, our banking was surrounded by these topics that at the central is ritual sacrifice of children and people. And so we have, yes, what could be a 22 catch, where because of financial crisis, people have problems in marriage that they need to divorce, so to not be violent to one another, to themselves. But in those times in particular, people can't afford this. Petitioning uranus algol, setting intention for to resolve for these 22, for to protect the lives, for to create creative solutions and eurekas around this topic, is particularly useful at this time. So when I usually talk about Uranus and relationships, I talk about those unusual relationships that bring out a certain life energy in you, that bring out something creative that needs to be, even the difficult of those. Okay. Talk about when I had the Me Too case in academia. I was both called to tend to the cult, even though that's like the Masons and Illuminati and all that crap. But when you tend to that, there are going to be the eurekas. Okay, for example, most of the army is not Wagner fund. It's not the Peter Ring, but they're governed by this. Most of the army actually hates them. When I speak to veterans, they're like, we don't like them. Okay, I can't stand them. It's like, oh, there's a point of reach to people that are receptive to that. But it was also when I began to do astrology more. I began, okay, for to learn deeper about astrology, astrological magic, even before I knew what it was. So that was literally astrology. Okay, it was not an easy one. And so Uranus calls us to develop something creative. This is where the outer planet will call us to do something for humanity, Uranus, or for the generations, or something beyond ourselves. This is the solution. This is the way to tend to this energy. Okay, right now it's called to tend to expandable children. I have Mercury, children, ruler of my fourth, housing, and seventh, partner. The second house, value, income, skill. Opposing Pluto, cult, psychology, taboos, oils, hidden knowledge, politics, hidden things, atomic bombs, and denuclearization. In the ninth house, religion, academia, international relations, traveling, God, philosophy, religion, or the lack of. Okay, so tending to expandable children is, of course, something that needs to happen. Yes, in my life, and I'm in my Pluto square, so it's happening now. For Uranus, if we have such case for divorce, you want to see outer planets to inner planets. If it's for money issues, it's probably difficult like to pay for this, but what I want to suggest you to do is to understand where is the conflict that we are dealing with connected to society, to our generation, to the spirit of the time, and what are the changes that are called for us to do. And you do that individually. You will be doing that together in your own way, okay? And that can be very creative ways, and it can be various ways. But there's a change that you came to bring to the world, whether it's by coming together or by separating, that is particularly important. When you get what that change is, you will find it in the struggle. You will find it, what am I struggling with? Okay, what is the pain point in our relation? So if it's economy, okay, of financial crisis, yes, you would tend to this maybe through astrology, maybe through unusual way of looking at things, taking space, finding new creative ways to take space from one another, for to detach from the issue. Looking into revolutions can be appropriate, and eventually evolving, okay, and revolutionizing your life is just what Uranus came to do here. Even if it's separation, okay, even if it's divorce, but do divorce in your unique way. And the space allows you to see that you're not one against each other, which is important. Space allows, okay, for us to communicate, sometimes even telepathically, and way more effective. But also for to set boundaries when needed. This is a time where things are changing, okay? So the old ways are changing. For those of you who find change, and this is a fixed sign, this is Taurus, so the changes are usually not so easy, because it's something that we usually rely on being fixed in our lives. Fixed or fixed for a reason. Fixed is not just stagnation. Fixed is also the thing that you can rely on. And if your partnership is the thing that you can rely on, this is what is shaking now, and why it can be so little for some people. If that partnership is your solid rock, if this person is a solid rock, there's nothing particularly wrong with that, okay? When I was in academia, the university was my grant, my housing project, because I was doing volunteering for a grant, and getting housing, my friends, my work, my studies, of course, my space to be around, okay, for to have quiet and ease, for peace of mind, the buildings, the structures, my everything. And for the while it served its goal, and then I had to decentralize that in my life. And that was powerful change. And even for the advice, for what the other person tried to push me towards the change, we were both trying to push for the change. It's a Corvan out. So for those of you who know what's a Corvan out, it's a Corvan out. And you understand I'm not a criminal, so I understand which side of the Corvan out I am. So this is also where the tending to the change was to tend to something that has already not been going well in my life, which is how I got to the point where I got. And also for them, very likely. So in such divorce, where you have also like Pluto, Saturn, right now Pluto is in Saturn's sign. And when that is happening, the entire structure of your life, and you need to face certain fears, but you also need to understand that the world is changing. So you could feel like you have no resources or limits of your power is limited in some way because it's transforming and the world is transforming, and it's a change from the core, a change from Yesod that is still on. The very foundations upon which we live are changing, and they need to change because right now the very foundations that we live upon is expandable children, and that cannot be. That cannot be. We want this change. We all crave this change. We all crave this change from Yesod, from the core sphere of where that foundation, okay, that we live upon, all of us, is shaky for a reason. And this is also the spirit of the times, okay? Usually when I tend to divorce, I talk about Uranus or the lighter aspect of Uranus, but right now Uranus is applying to trine Pluto and in sextile Neptune. It's an energy that we can tap into to set intention, because we can decide for what our reset is, not what is built upon, okay? But what is our reset, and we can tap into it, and we are protected in this process. And to bring in intention is allowing and assisting for something unusual, unexpected, but also very fated and liberating to come through from these transits. They're not simple, because now we are meeting Uranus at the depth of the well. It's not the Uranus of I suddenly met this person, they're so attractive, and then, oh, one time I like them, one time I don't, which is Venus squaring Uranus, which is coming up, the Venus square Uranus, or the Venus trine Uranus, electric attraction. Or what do they do for a living? Okay. How they making a world war? What's your job? Intercepting it. Oh, we both like our jobs. Okay. And so, but Uranus is usually lighter. It's usually, oh, you met this person. It shakes up your life, and people think, okay, I should leave this divorce. I should marry this person, and then they come to me for a reading, and I tell them, if you're divorced, if you need to divorce, you need to divorce. But very likely I want you to see what is this person bringing in you. Yes, I started painting. Okay, this is probably why you meet this person. What do you think we need to get married? I don't know. Let's take a look at the synastry. And usually the synastry is not looking, or the composite is not looking very marital. Okay? Sometimes it is. I have a colleague, Lada Dumcheva, and when she had, when Nikola Stojanovic, okay, was teacher, uh, told her, you're gonna get, for the first marriage, you're gonna get married, you're gonna get divorced, then you get married again, but then you're gonna be happily married. It happened as follows. And she said, what? I already divorced once. I can't think about. No, happened. And she tells this story openly. And so this is the lighter aspect of Uranus. She became an astrologer and she found the man of her life. Um, and so Uranus can give us for multiple marriages in that way. Uranus can give us for the couple that fought for gay marriages and then decided that after a while together, they got what they needed to bring to the world, and then they're like, okay, but internally we're not so good for partners, for romantic partners. Okay, this was good for to rebel the world, but right now we're just rebelling each other. This can happen with Uranus relationships. So yes, of course, sometimes it brings upon like a crisis where you do find the one, but it can also be where you both divorce, and what came out of it was that new, creative project, the painting. It needed to come out, um, and if very likely you got of stagnation. So usually, what happens with Uranus is that even in the best of cases, unless it's like Lada's case, the everlasting marriage or the happy marriage after all this time or all these attempts, there are other significations for that. But usually what happens is kind of like you left that person for that person and you're happy, and you're not going to be with either of them eventually, but you're going to be more yourself, and that's going to bring you, whether if you're supposed to have a relationship, to that relationship where you are yourself, and that's the point. So and so this is usually Uranus. It's that unusual relationship, unusual commitment style. Something needs to come out. Usually there is a Uranus transit, and Venus is going to square Uranus, which is going to bring divorces. That's why I guess I'm talking about this now. And yet, because Uranus is with algol, it's giving divorces where grand wealth is the question or the cause of the divorce. Um, and it's given a deeper meaning to Uranus that accompanies that. Not for all, some of them not going to be like the others. It can be a wealthy couple divorces, also signification of algol, but yes, can also have some deeper undertones to it. Right now with Venus on the 22nd degree of Leo, it's still giving that, okay, this type of deeper vibes, okay, these eurekas around for when divorce gets bloody, whether somebody suicides or whether somebody murders and so on, and the role of financial crisis in all the role of expandable children in all that. So the outer planet will usually give you what the change is. Apply to harmonious aspects whenever they are around, whether they're in the synastry, whether in the composite, whether the people around you that can support you during this time. Talismans. You're going to need a harmonious aspects where you can somehow integrate, and you have the applying bisextile already in orb, okay, with Pluto, Uranus and Neptune. We can set intention. You're protected, divinely protected in your journey of transformation. It is a change from the core, and you feel that you need it. If you are listening to me right now, you feel I need a change from the core, from the sod, some change, some big change, huge, grand change, and changes are happening, okay? This deep, deep stagnation that you want to release from your life, and you understand why it's there, and the desire to release it from your life is there. And this is what the Uranus-Pluto does, and Neptune assists, the Uranus-Pluto trine, okay? And the Sedna is also involved. Sedna is trine in Pluto. So tending to that as well. For Sedna that talks about betrayal, but the essence is about being true to ourselves. And in Gemini, usually people lie when they're not allowed to tell the truth. They think about the role of housing, of believing. We talk about housing first, and to believe the person for what they say when they say it, and when they are allowed to tell the truth, so that you are able to listen and to perceive the truth, whether emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, is difficult. And this is the truth, okay, as well. When we are authentic with ourselves, there can be place for change from the core. And the more we are able to authentically be ourselves, is this change from the core. And this is what it's bringing about, is more authentic existence and being and living, authentic living, in accordance with who we are. And that means different things for different people. And so it can be frightening, it can be this, it can be that. And this is, yes, a powerful, powerful change. Okay. Uranus algol is also a shielding effect, a shielding of sweetening for that divorce, for that Uranus, for that etheric release, for that eureka, for that relational trauma that you have been carrying, perhaps are purging right now, which is maybe both the cause for the divorce, for you purging that, and so you're divorcing, you're purging that and separating, or the divorce is because of the trauma, and then what you need to purge is the trauma, not necessarily for the marriage, or you need to purge the trauma and you can purge the marriage, or that this divorce is about purging the trauma, because the process is about purging the trauma, and this is what this or purging the trauma of divorce for some of you, but I feel like the divorce is about purging the trauma. Okay. Mundanely, this is still close to the sun of Israel, it's 3 degrees away from the sun of Israel. So I feel that is there is some sort of purging the trauma. Divorce in Hebrew is girushim, which also means to exile, or to exile people from their land. Okay, it can take many forms, but there's something about the divorce process is to purge the trauma of exile for particularly for this region of Israel, purging the trauma of exile. The divorce process to purge the trauma of exile. I don't know. Okay, it's a deeper, mundane thing. And so yes, inclusivity comes to mind. Venus is going to square Uranus as she trines Aries and Chiron. So there is a certain type of inclusivity that is required here, alongside with the square to algol and Uranus, which is divorce giving. Okay, this is divorce, so to be more, the divorce is so to include. But is it so? Is the divorce inclusive? Should we want to be inclusive, or should we want to divorce? We want to be inclusive, but then there is desire to divorce. It is something on a mundane level that we can see operate in a certain way. So usually when I talk about Uranus and I talk about the unusualness of relations, I talk mainly about allow things to unfold, what will stay with you, what will real for now will stay with you, what is real but no longer serve and won't stay with you. All of these things are true. And usually I mention it because it's something that wants to come out, to create and so on. And here I feel that there's another aspect to that exists where Uranus is on algol, and then later with Sedna, that is not usually present when we talk all things Uranus. Okay, divorce is difficult in itself. The planet that rules divorce also rules suicide. And we have to think, okay, with Taurus about the role of economy, the role of radical acceptance. When it comes to these things, and as I'm speaking, sometimes also divorce has to do with something to do with sexual trauma, and divorce because of that. Again, we touch on expandable children, economy, all of these things that tie together. And when divorce is because of such thing, we understand that the very violation of sexual boundaries is causing terror. It is known to the people who give orders to do such thing, who train, to the Basser van de Kolks, and very likely even back then to the Frans Fanons, which were very likely talking about rape as something that they encourage. And Young and me didn't even understand that because I didn't comprehend that that was what they meant there. It was not until that came out with Basra van der Kolk where I was like, what did I just... okay? Traumas of war related to these things. And so this is, of course, it's bringing divorce. Yes, nobody wants to stay with such person that does such things, no matter what the cause is. Nobody can stay if they want to stay alive. So of course some people would want to divorce such people that did that, that do that, that think that, whether it's because of cult, whether it's because of therapy, whether it's because of whatever. And this touches on the chakras that are associated with wealth, creativity, creative solution, resourcefulness, and so that can bring upon unusual types of letalities, where not even what is unusual gender, unusual this, unusual that, because yes, the ideology Uranus around sexuality, algol, or rape has to change, to transform. And of course, it's bringing huge giant waves of divorces as well. Nobody can be in marriage with someone who doesn't respect the sexual boundaries. It's supposed to be obvious, or the physical boundaries, or energy boundaries. Nobody can be around it, or try to do hypnotic or magical occult things on them. No, it's divorce. And with the purging for the trauma, of course, eurekas can come about, okay, for both people. And those separations can be particularly challenging. And for, I think the hardest thing for people who did that is to face the fact that this is what was the problem. Okay, it's not that they wanted to be a romantic partner, and because they were rejected, or they wanted for you to leave your wife, or for they wanted okay, money, as for that those things happen, that even if, then because of those things that they would have to divorce you. Okay, it's very difficult, it's very challenging, because it's touching on the self-trust, it's touching on trauma, it's touching on where a person has been maybe expandable child, maybe programmed, maybe in army, maybe outside. And this is where yes, I go back to Rahu. Descendant was with Rahu when I began to record 9 degrees Rahu. I mean, have it with Saturn, Capricorn, okay, Mars, Gemini, Mercury already in Virgo, but in shade period. Things that need to be said, even if impulsively. And for Mars ruling Rahu, okay, so I'm heading towards something. It's a fated conversation that we are having right now. And one of the most difficult things for a person that did that is to understand that that was what they did. That was what the problem was. That was why they were rejected. That was why somebody divorces them perhaps right now. Or they divorce. Okay? That is something that is like, that's what it was. It's not about law, it's not about imprisonment, it's not about fines, it's not about money, it's not about finances. It's about well-being of person. And no, rape not acceptable. No. We are living in times where we have German parliament legalizing pedophilia. We're living in times where the elite of the elite, the creme de la creme of armies, decision makers are raping children, and they are very likely the raped children that had to rape children. And with the expandable children I talk about, we are living in times where people try to reverse for something that the girl that was gang raped, the girl, young girl, yes, child, has to is fined for offending the rapists. Okay, it doesn't change the values. It doesn't change for the marriage. They divorce. They might kill themselves and not want to be with you if you think like this, if you act like this. They might kill themselves and not want to be with you. You end up for that person that maybe was love of your life, that preferred to kill themselves and not to be with you because you violate for the boundaries that you didn't. Maybe they would only want to be with you. But you never even given the chance for yes, but you disrespected no. And also divorce is for somebody, understand they need their own time to have self-trust. The various forms, the various shades of cases, it's not just about legislation. This is genuinely about the well-being of people within marriage and in process of divorce, and is something that we all need to ground into. But a thing called willing consent, we all need to ground in, even within our bodies, even when we self-pleasure. So the intention is usually, it's not something that you can fumble and play and gaslight and this and that and that and that and that. It can be funny. It can be funny. But it's not going to give that. You cannot at the roundabout, you cannot at the roundabout, okay, things come up. Hans Semadma, Dutch citizen KLM pilot, was drugged with ketamine so he wouldn't remember. His spouse drugged with ketamine, and it was forced marriage, that he was forced to marry her, and she was sold. And she was working for Rabobank in Utrecht the whole time. Years and years and years and years and years, it pops up. It's not forgotten. What Joris Demming did in 73, when he was just becoming judge, is not forgotten. 2024. They're still healing. They're still dealing with that. If you thought that somebody thinks something and you thought, I will teach them a lesson, what you didn't know is that they already knew the lesson and you were just doing useless things. You didn't teach them a lesson. All of that was useless. All of that. And all of that at the roundabout, you have to correct for all of that. Was your mistake. Because maybe they were dissociated. But you could have been their father. And that's what you've done. Algol will be minima tomorrow. But the moon is decreasing now. So shielding, purging. Okay? releasing. 2 generations of men died before women got right to have bank account, to vote. What men had after women got these rights? Better sex, longer life. All across the board. Better sex, longer life. But if they stayed with the same mindset that created not 1, 2 world wars, are still stuck in that mindset, in the cult mindset. Okay? Then now we have Uranus in Taurus again. Now we have Uranus on algol again. When this violation of a boundary of a person, okay, is not and sometimes it can reach all that much for a person either decides to commit suicide and then they're dead. Because whenever they try to heal from what you've done, that's where it came about. Or the divorce. That's what happens. When you listen to the cult, when you follow the cult. And I don't care if you're listening to me and you're in your 20s, in your 30s. And you think, oh, what is speak, what is nothing, what is this, what is that, what is not nothing. You listen to what happened to the elder people. There are people that are afraid to solve this cold case because maybe they see a judge and maybe they'll see their father. This is what this Venus squares Uranus algol is about, and this is what many of these for divorces are about. And that's that.